we're back. This is Stacy and I'm Dominique, and we're doing our next episode. Today we are going to talk about an article that we both read in Psychology Today, and it was talking about how many previous sex partners is too many. So we're going to just, randomly bring up for discussion how we feel about your number. What's a high? Is there such a thing as a too high number? Is there a too low number? What our personal opinion is. And so after, we hope that you guys enjoy the video. And if you liked it, then, give us a thumbs up, subscribe, and then leave a comment and let us know how you feel about your number or your partner's number.
So for me, at one point, I wish I was in the 60s, when they had like love and rock and roll and you could do everything and anything and all that, the Woodstock time. I would have been really happy in that time, I think, and I would have been having fun.
The sexual revolution.
Yeah. And I think I went through that in my life before.
Yeah.
But now, being where we are in the world now, I wouldn't want but one, just because of the monkeypox and all this shit going on now.
Yeah, the monkeypox is making it like hard to be like sexually like evolved at this point.
Exactly. So with all of that being said, I'm gonna say one, right? For me right now. Yeah. That's just where I am.
So what about like, your partner's past? Like, does it matter to you if your partner had like a certain amount? Like, is there a number that you think it's too many partners to have had prior to you being in your monogamous relationship with this person?
I really don't want to know about it. I think I prefer not to even know about it. Like, that was your past. As long as your T cells are good right now with me and you're not sick, then I don't want to even. Yeah. Because how do you know if they're even telling you the truth?
True. Yeah. I mean, in the article, it was like kind of funny because in the article they mentioned that it's best to not know, because that way you can just kind of have like a fresh start. And I think that that's because, and because they said there are people that really like kind of feel some type of way about a certain number that makes them like insecure, or they think it's too much. Like, I personally am the same. I don't need to know, like, whatever. But I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I don't mind if you're slutted out. I actually prefer it. I don't want to teach anybody anything. So
you want the experienced partner.
Well, I mean, like, it is like, if you were a hoe previously, good for you. Don't you need to tell me? I'm not judging you. Like, I'm with it. So like, as long as you decide to be monogamous,
me, that's all. Just make sure you bring all those things out.
Yeah, if we decide to be monogamous, that's fine. Like, I'm cool. Like, then it's just me and you. But if you prior to that, you were out there, being slutted out, good for you. I'm not slut shaming. I'm all about it. Like, I prefer it. So like, as long as you like, you know that you're taking your tests, you're like using protection, you're doing what you need to do to protect yourself and take care of yourself. And if we've agreed to be in a monogamous relationship, then as long as we're sticking with that, then I'm like, it doesn't bother me. Like, I don't need to know. I don't think there's a number, but it was kind of funny because there was like, in the comments on the article, there were like people like, if you say it doesn't matter, it's because you've had too many. And I'm like, yeah, but what is too many? Because even if I only had one, I wouldn't really want to tell anybody, because I don't think it's important. Because I'm like, I see like a lot of young people on TikTok, a lot of young guys are talking about women's numbers and like how that if they've had more than, I don't know, and for them it's like
a turn off,
5, 7, they feel like it's like disgusting. And I'm like, how old are you guys? Because I hope when you're like 30 you reevaluate what you just said, because like, but it's like they don't care if it's like but for men it's okay to have like 70, but like the women have to have like a low number. And I'm like, okay, wow. let's even do it like on a mathematical equation. If there's equal number of men and women having sex with each other, because we're doing like statistically from like a heterosexual perspective. So I'm not trying to exclude anyone. I'm just saying it from the heterosexual perspective.
Right.
Equal amount of men and women that are heterosexual that are having sex with each other. Right. And if every man has had sex with 30 or 40 women, how can you expect every woman to have only had sex with 1, 2, 3 men? It's not possible. So, you have to let it go. So if you want to have sex with all of these women and you want to be out there and be, just do your thing and hoe it out, like you have to give that, like, it's 2022. You need to not be worried about a woman's number as a heterosexual man. That's what I just feel like that's, it's so ridiculous, but I thought it was so funny because some people are so triggered by it. Like a lot of people won't say their number. Like I won't say my number because I don't think it's relevant, but not because I'm ashamed.
Right. I don't think it's something, I think the present, where we are and where we are right now is what matters. I don't really care to hear about what you did prior to me. Yeah. I just want, like you said, for you to be healthy and for you to be, if we decide keep me safe, I just need to be kept safe.
Yeah.
Even if you're sleeping with me and I don't know that you're having sex with someone else.
Yeah.
I always say, keep me safe. Yeah. I would do the same thing. If I was being, more than one partner, I'm going to make sure that I don't jump into something and then I keep someone else unsafe.
Yeah.
That's where you have to take responsibility for.
I agree.
What you're doing. But as far as your past goes, I don't even want to talk about.
No, I feel like also that a lot of people feel insecure about sex and like their sexual, like, are you good in that or not? And I feel like there's this, I think that like people who are maybe not as experienced might feel, if they have a problem with an experienced sex partner, that they might feel insecure about it. So that's why they want to judge, like, if you have this many, then you're, and I'm like, well, I feel like, then don't talk about it, but it's also so petty. It's like, we're like adults. And I feel like it's so ridiculous to like keep like score or to think something of that. And it's like, okay, so let's say that I had sex with one man like 100,000 times. We've done every position. We've done everything you can think of, like you name it, it's been done. Then I still can run around with like this purity label. And then, but if I did like the same missionary sex position with 10 men, then now I'm like, something is wrong with me. I think that's so, this really doesn't make any sense. It's just like, no. What is it? What the hell? I think it's like, it just comes from that purity culture, and it's like, it's a patriarchal nonsense. And I think that everybody just needs to get off. I think the number doesn't say anything, but I thought it was an interesting article because so many people are triggered by it, because that's the thing. It's like saying like almost no one will tell anyone their number, regardless if it's high or low. I thought that was just so funny, and that there are still people that literally will pick their partners based on their number, or like they will feel less attracted to someone that has a certain number.
I mean, because my thing is, a woman could say the same thing about a man, like, hey, I don't want to deal with you because you were doing X, Y, Z, 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 but they always put a woman in her place, like in this spot, like we're supposed to just stay this way and be this way and all this and all that. But women have come into themselves, because I remember, thinking about like my grandmother or, her mother. They didn't even know anything about their bodies and how to, they were just baby makers. They had no idea about how to be touched or what to ask for sexually. But women have come so far from that, and we're now recognizing our needs and what we like and what we want sexually. So to put anybody in a frame, I don't think it's cool. If I'm going to present myself to you, I'm going to bring my best to you. So that means I'm not going to come to you with anything crazy. But to ask me like, well, how many people have you been with? I don't even want to know. I don't even want to ask that question. I just want to know where you are with me right now in this space. So I don't know. I think to not know is good. But if you're a freak, bring it. Bring the freak.
I agree. Like, I mean, if you want to tell me your number, that's up to you. I would never ask. I have never asked anyone their number because I just am like, I don't see what the point is. I also just think that, I agree with that. It's like, women are finally like, there's more open talk about women and their pleasure and owning that. And I think that that's just so important. And I think that we still are unfortunately stuck in a culture where, there's still this like stigma around it about women, understanding what's important to them and their pleasure and owning their sexuality and being like open about it. And I think that that's, exactly, if you look at our moms, grandmothers, even that's like a completely different
era.
They feel very differently. And that's also, they were baby makers. There was no like pleasure for women. It was just, it was a duty. And I'm like, and now I feel like that's why I'm really loving like even on Netflix, there's now so many different shows and documentaries. There's actually one on Netflix about the orgasm gap, about how like a lot of women are not experiencing orgasms at the same, like there's like a percentage gap with compared to men. And it's like, because a lot of women also don't understand their bodies because we're not taught that that's something that you need to understand. So you either go on the self-development tour about understanding it, and then people do it in all different types of ways. And there's still like that stigma. If you're doing it by experimenting with multiple partners, there's still this, but you're like a hoe or whatever. And I'm like, I think that's, I'm loving also that there's like a on social media, like a movement, like a hot girl, like kind of like slut movement. It's not even about sex, but it's owning being sexy and owning your own pleasure. And like, it's for you, it's not for someone else. It's like, and I think that that's also, I like that. Have you seen the Netflix series, like How to Build a Sex Room?
Somebody was telling me about that. I want to see it. I heard it's really good.
Yeah, I mean, I liked it because the lady who does it was like, she's got like a great personality and she's like very open-minded and she understands the diverse sexual pleasure, what brings sexual pleasure, like a diversity in sexual pleasure and different couples. And it's kind of interesting how she like gets the take from the men and women. And I like that both partners, that she like brings the rooms and like the dynamic together to like bring their sexualities and their preferences and their experimenting and stuff together in their own way. And I thought that it was like, I like that that's like being like open. If you haven't seen it, you should watch it because
I want to watch it. I heard about it. I heard a lot about it. I remember my doctor when 50 Shades of Grey came out.
Oh my gosh, yes.
He was from India, and he said you wouldn't believe how that book has got the Indian women like he said they covered the book up, so they couldn't see what they were reading. But he said they were almost bumping into things reading that book, and how liberating that book brought them out. Because over there, their culture is really like a woman is a certain way, she has to act a certain way, she has to be a certain way. But he said, oh my God, it opened up like so much for the Indian women, So I just think they need to stop putting a woman in a box. We're not a piece of chocolate out of a box.
Yeah.
Where you just pick us up, put us down, make us stay like this, no, we need to explore and know what we're doing,
Yeah.
how to please, how to be pleased, what to ask for, and all those things. So no, I'm not interested in knowing your numbers. I
Yeah,
don't.
I just thought it was like, I agree, because I think like I remember the 50 Shades of Grey when the books first came out, and someone was like, you should read that. So I bought one at the airport and I started reading it, and I was like, I was like, oh, I like the storyline, but people were like, oh my God, you're reading that in public. I'm like, is this like something to be ashamed of to read in public? So I could already tell that there was like and then I started seeing everyone on the plane reading it. Like I was looking, I was like, oh, they're reading, they're like, I was like everywhere people were reading it. And it was like that kind of like, I think that it opened the doors because it made like kink also a little bit more mainstream.
Right.
So, I thought that was also something, because it put it like, instead of just the traditional like type of sexuality, that vanilla type of sexuality, it was like, that's okay. But like, I think that was like, it brought out like, you can be in a marriage or a loving relationship and still have like kinky sex if you're into that. I think there's also Netflix's The Goop. There's a Goop special. It's a couple of episodes, and they also talk about, it's with couples and they're exploring like their different like types of sexuality. And there's a blueprint, like a sexual blueprint. And I forgot the lady's name who does it, but I will put it in the show, in the links, and you can figure out what your sexual blueprint is to experiment.
Really?
Yeah. And she like, you can like, she does like courses and stuff, but you can work right on her with her if she's got a waiting list and probably like costs a lot of money, but she does workshops. She has like others, like different types of work, but you can get like, figure out what your sexual blueprint was. And it's interesting for people to like take the quiz and figure out something that they didn't realize about themselves. And I think that it's it's just interesting. And I think that because sex is like such a big part of society, and I think that we just can't deny that. And I think that, if you feel uncomfortable, if you've had 3 sex partners and you feel uncomfortable having sex with someone who has had 200, then I think you really need to ask yourself, why do you feel so uncomfortable?
Yeah.
If it's a safety thing, then you need to just get tested, and then that shouldn't be a problem.
But the thing is, you should be concerned as far as safety goes if a person's with one, because you don't know what that other partner was doing.
True.
You can have one partner and still get HIV if your one partner is promiscuous.
Yeah.
So if you're concerned about that, like you said, then you need to check yourself to see why you are concerned.
Because it's like, I mean, I've known people who are very, very sexually experimental and have had many, many sexual partners, and they've never had any kind of STD or STI. And it's because they just, they take the precautions and they're super safe. And so I think that has nothing to do. I think that that's like an internalized thing. And like, I know people who have been in relationships and their partner has slipped up once and then ended up both with chlamydia. So so I know that happens as well. So it's like, it's like people are always like, oh, you'll have this. And I'm like, yeah, you could get that from one person who slept with one person before, because you don't know, because they just assume you can get it in a committed relationship. So that's why I feel like this honesty thing is, I rather like someone just tell me like, yeah, I've had like sex with a lot of people, and then let's be safe and we just do it. And then if they're like, wow, amazing, because they had so much experience, I'm only happy. I mean, there's no number that's too high for me. I mean, good for you if you have a super high number. I'm like, oh, you had sex with, you could find that many people you wanted to have sex with and wanted to have sex with you. That's, as long as it's safe and consensual, you should do whatever you want to do.
That's
how I feel. But I just felt like it was so interesting how many there were like 500 comments, and people were so angry about like them suggesting that it's like that you feel uncomfortable. It has something to do with your like internal like insecurities, and people were just so mad. And I'm like, but that's like that's a tell all that you're mad because an article is highlighting something that's probably true.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, I thought it was so funny. Like yeah, because it's like a lot of like there's a discussion now that there's like so many people on like OnlyFans and they're like, oh, these people are in relationships. And I'm like, well, they're just people having sex like for money. And I'm pro sex work. Like I think that it has a very important place in society. It's always been there. And
Always.
it has a place for people that have very specific kinks, interests, and I think that that should definitely be there. And you know what, anyways, like it doesn't bother me if you're out there making money doing whatever it is you're doing on OnlyFans and you're finding yourself some financial and sexual autonomy and you're doing it in a consensual way because you want to do that, then I feel like you're super empowered and more power to you. But there was like that whole thing about like I would never date a woman or a person, but it's specifically always geared to women who had an OnlyFans. And I'm like, well, I don't understand why people wouldn't do. I mean, I wouldn't have an OnlyFans because it's not my thing. It's like, hey, you know, maybe somebody has like a cleaning kink and then I can like, you guys, I like to clean so they can watch me clean my house in my clothes because that's my prerequisite. That's why I wouldn't have an OnlyFans because nobody would want to watch me clean my house. But I heard that that's also a kink. So hey, you know, I'm just
oh my gosh.
yeah, that people like they're like that's their thing. And I think it's just like I don't understand why people are like, I would never be in a relationship. I'm like, well, what does it matter? Like I don't understand that.
That's crazy. Wow.
Yeah, I'm like, sex workers are, you know, they pay taxes, they do their thing. I don't understand what the problem is.
I just wish they just open all this stuff up. If you want to smoke, smoke. If you want to,
yeah,
you know, because I think if they did, I don't think it's already out there, but people still want to pretend they're not involved.
Yeah, I think it's like we know what it is. I think that there's this like false sense of morality attached to all of these things. If you do drugs, you're a bad person. If you have an OnlyFans, you're a bad person. If you have more than this many sex partners, you're a bad person. And it's like, what does that have anything to do? So if you had sex with one person and you don't do any drugs and you're a complete a-hole all the time, then you feel that you're like morally superior to someone who's like, I don't know, does a line in the weekends or like likes to smoke, you know, likes to smoke a joint like every night. That's how they chill out. I don't understand how you can feel like morally superior if you're just because
you're a good person.
Do something. Yeah, it's like a good person thing. I mean, it's such nonsense. It's like it has nothing to do with that. So
it doesn't.
Yeah, I feel like as long as you're, you know, if you're integrous and you're honest, then I don't see what the big deal is when it comes to any of it, really. I really think that that's the thing. It's like, I believe in full body autonomy. And I mean like that in sex, drugs, whatever you want to do with your body, you need to just do with your body. That is not my business. And it's not anybody's business.
Hurting me with your thing, then I'm good over here. And I don't have judgment. Like I only care about how you treat me. And that's it. You know, as far as judging you and your life, your past, or anything, if it doesn't affect me, then I don't have an issue with what you do, because at the end of the day, I have no say over your life. I have no say over what you have going on.
Yeah.
So, and then the people that a lot of times that are pointing fingers, they're always doing something else too. So
true.
Somebody can look at you and say, oh, but you're doing this. Most of the people that are doing that, they got a lot of stuff that they're doing too. That's what I've always seen.
Yeah. Yeah. You know? I feel the same way. I feel like, why are you so concerned about other people and what they're doing? Like, why are you on such a moral high horse? Are you perfect? Like, or have you never made a mistake? Have you never done anything that is quote unquote not good? Like, and even,
of course they have.
And it's just because someone does something I wouldn't do doesn't mean they're a bad person. And what they've done is bad. That's the one thing we need to learn to separate. You cannot want to do something, not agree with something, not be into something and someone else can do that, and that doesn't mean anything about their character or yours. Like, it has nothing to do with each other. So
Exactly.
yeah, and I
So
feel the same way. Yeah.
that's funny. That was good though. I like that. That's really interesting that people even care,
Yeah,
just
it just blew my mind when I saw the article. When I sent it to you, I was like, you have to like this is like something we should talk about, because I'm like, it's 2022 and there are people that still actually feel like this. And the crazy thing is what I'm saying is like, I'm on seeing this on TikTok, and these are like 18, 19-year-old men who are still perpetuating this nonsense. And it's like, what the, we're moving forward, but we are not going as fast as we need to go, because
oh my God,
it's like,
no.
I'm seeing like multiple young men, especially, saying these things. And I'm also like, and that trickles down into a lot of young women's ideas about their sexuality, that they have to be a certain way or they can't be a certain way because they don't want a potential future partner to maybe judge them, because these are like, you see 13, 14-year-old girls on TikTok seeing like, oh, these guys that are cute guys saying they're 18, they're older, they're saying this, so I have to be some kind of way to be liked. And it's just, yeah. So I'm like, we need to start talking to our kids more. And then I'm finding out that like, there's a very low percentage of young people actually using condoms, which to me is like, okay, so we want to talk about we want to make sure that all the girls are virgins, but the guys don't want to wrap it up. But they want to have sex with every virgin. Maybe you can have one, but like, yeah, it's like, it's so backwards. We need to like definitely, go back and start talking to the young men, like, and like calling that out, and like also talking to our daughters about their like sexual autonomy and their sexual empowerment. And that, this numbers thing, this shouldn't even be a discussion, but unfortunately it still is.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's true. That is true. And we need to start talking to the little girls too, because,
Yeah.
They need to understand that, who they are, and that you do have a right and you are someone, and
Yes.
you can speak for yourself, but just keep yourself safe.
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
and that's the main thing. And and keeping yourself respected.
Yeah.
Is the other thing.
Yeah. Like, if you respect yourself and what you're doing, and you stand behind your choices consensually 100%, then you will never have a regret or feel disrespected, and no one will ever disrespect you.
Exactly.
When you kind of get into that vague territory of wanting to be desired and then trying to like filter into a fantasy, or to be, it would either or the virgin fantasy or the horror fantasy, whatever one. And once you start getting in that you're not doing it for yourself anymore. And that's the thing. And it's like, I think that that's like a big thing, that there needs to be more talks. There needs to be like, from a young age, like at this point, like 15 is too old. We should have started earlier.
Because these kids are smart now. Like,
yes.
I mean, 7-year-olds, 6-year-olds, they're not the 6 and 7-year-olds that, from back in the day. They're already wise and they're ready. I mean, fast. Like, these kids are fast.
And I know that people are like, we need to let kids be kids, but like, I agree, but there's like a certain thing that we have to acknowledge, like how it really is. And that's the thing, is like, I think when I was like 9, 10, girls liked girls, like that girls like boys and stuff. We talked about that, and girls and other ways around, or like there was kissing people. I was like a late bloomer, but was already happening. So it's like now they're exposed to way more sexuality, and it's just part of like life. So I think that people need to get on it a little bit earlier, that there's,
Yeah,
multiple types of sexuality, that all of it is okay as long as it's okay with you. And it's like something that you want, that you're not doing to appease another. Because that's the thing
exactly.
I think is like also a big thing. And I just hope that we can move forward, and that I'm glad that there's more and more stuff out there that people can see, read, and that there's the conversations being had.
Exactly. I think so too. Really.
Yeah.
Wow. This was a great segment. I enjoyed it.
It
Very
really was.
good. Yeah,
Yeah.
well, we'd love to hear your comments and for you to tell us what you think, or to just whatever opinion you have about it. I'd love to hear what people that are watching us have to say about that, because it's interesting. And
Absolutely.
you want to know the numbers. Do you want how would you feel if someone said, "Oh, I slept with 40 people"? Like what would you what
Yeah.
would
Or 400 or four,
you,
like all of these numbers. So, put it out there. Let us know in the comments. Do you feel like the number is important? Is there a number that's too high or too low? Because that could also be a thing, like, oh, not enough experience, so leave it be. So yeah, drop us in the comments, let us know. And otherwise, send like follow us on Instagram, Facebook, let us know how you feel about it. We'll be talking about this ongoing in our relationships series. So we've enjoyed having you guys around. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up, like,
please?
and if you really want to see it more, subscribe. We're looking forward to hearing from you. So have a good night, day, wherever you are in the time zones. Bye.
Bye bye.